Lily wants Kane again, Sharon interrogates shady Sienna. Lily Winters will reverse her Kane-Ashby decision while Sharon Newman interrogates shady Sienna Bacall. At the cottage, Sharon will take this opportunity to put Sienna through a grilling session now that they're alone. Sienna's motives will be questioned when it comes to Noah Newman and what she really hopes to gain from their connection. Sharon may worry that Sienna is just using Noah like Matt Clark aka Mitch Bacall used him, albeit in a less monstrous way. Sienna indeed accepted Noah's offer of protection in Genoa City, but she may assure Sharon that she's not a gold digger who's trying to worm her way into the Newman clan. Noah and Sienna bonded because they actually have a lot in common. Sienna may give Sharon updates on that and admit she genuinely likes her son, but it's not like they're in a serious relationship at this point. Even so, Sharon will likely warn Sienna to be careful with Noah's heart since he's been burned by too many women already. One of those women was Audra Charles, so Noah's latest encounter with her will be an uncomfortable one. Nick Newman may eventually intervene and give Noah an excuse to wiggle out of all the awkwardness at the GCAC. Afterward, Holden Novak will track Audra down and apparently patch things up with her following their recent tension. Audra and Holden are on the verge of reaching a deal, so they may agree to work together and stop Claire Newman from exposing the rest of their dirty secrets. Other YNR spoilers say Lily will sit down with Kane at Crimson Lights, where they'll discuss the Abbott Communications launch party. After Lily confesses that she's going, she'll assume it'll be dull and will basically predict she'll have a lousy time. Kane will offer a way to liven up the night and will suggest they could go together. Although Lily may be a bit wary about taking Kane as her party date, he may convince her that he's truly put Phyllis Summers behind him. Kane might insist he was only playing Phyllis in hopes that she'd admit she stole the AI program. Now that Kane is going after Phyllis for revenge, that could leave Lily feeling a little better about the situation. Whatever the case, Lily will change her way of thinking when it comes to Kane on Thursday's YNR episode. We'll see a reversal of heart for Lily, who may cave in on Kane's +1 idea and reconsider their potential future. Lily wants Kane again, Sharon interrogates shady Sienna. Lily Winters will reverse her Kane-Ashby decision while Sharon Newman interrogates shady Sienna Bacall, and as the hours unfold across Genoa City, the emotional stakes will rise like a storm pressing against thin glass, ready to shatter with the slightest push. At the cottage, Sharon will take this opportunity to put Sienna through a grilling session now that they're alone. She's waited patiently through the family chaos, the frantic calls with Victor, the tension with Nick, and the subtle but unmistakable unease Noah has carried on his shoulders since Sienna stumbled into their lives. Now Sharon has her chance to get answers, and she intends to seize it with the kind of quiet ferocity only a Newman matriarch can pull off. When Sienna sits across from her at the cottage table, hands folded, pretending to be calm, Sharon's eyes narrow with that mixture of maternal intuition and battle-hardened wisdom. She's seen scams. She's lived through betrayals. She's survived manipulative men, unhinged women, and tragic twists she never could have predicted. So Sienna's smooth voice and doe-eyed vulnerability won't be enough to distract her. Sharon knows better. Sienna's motives will be questioned when it comes to Noah Newman and what she really hopes to gain from their connection. That connection arrived too fast, too conveniently, too wrapped in trauma and secrecy not to be suspicious. Sharon may worry that Sienna is just using Noah like Matt Clark aka Mitch Bacall used him, albeit in a less monstrous way, because Noah has always struggled to recognize danger when it comes wrapped in softness. Sharon remembers every detail from Noah's devastating involvement with Matt Clark's manipulations, even if Noah tries to bury it under forced smiles and joking deflections. A mother never forgets the sound of her child's heartbreak. And when she recognizes the same pattern emerging around Sienna, it sets off every alarm bell she has. Sienna, however, holds her composure impressively. She indeed accepted Noah's offer of protection in Genoa City, but she may assure Sharon that she's not a gold digger who's trying to worm her way into the Newman clan. She doesn't flinch under Sharon's scrutiny, even when Sharon bluntly asks why Noah, of all people, became her lifeline instead of the dozens of options Sienna could have pursued. Sienna calmly explains that Noah listened, truly listened, at a time when she thought no one ever would. She's not trying to angle her way into Newman territory or manipulate Noah for status. She claims she's simply trying to survive, outrun her past, and rebuild something resembling a life, even if she barely believes she deserves one. Whether Sharon buys it is another matter entirely. Noah and Sienna bonded because they actually have a lot in common: shared trauma, shared burdens, and shared disappointment in people who should have protected them. Sienna may give Sharon updates on that and admit she genuinely likes her son, but it's not like they're in a serious relationship at this point. Even so, Sharon will likely warn Sienna to be careful with Noah's heart since he's been burned by too many women already. She cites Tessa leaving him behind, Audra shattering him twice, and the emotional destruction he endured courtesy of Matt Clark's schemes. My son is strong, Sharon may say, but not unbreakable. And Sienna, to her credit, seems sincerely shaken by the reminder. One of those women was Audra Charles, so Noah's latest encounter with her will be an uncomfortable one. When Noah later crosses paths with Audra at the GCAC lobby, the air tightens instantly. She gives him that signature smirk, the one that once made him feel desired, powerful, seen, but now only reminds him of the emotional landmines she left behind. Audra leans in, voice low and dangerously silky as she tries baiting him into conversation, but Noah stiffens. He's polite enough to avoid confrontation, yet distant enough to send a clear message. It's a miserable situation, especially when Audra feigns innocence and casually asks if Sienna is still leeching protection from him. Nick Newman may eventually intervene and give Noah an excuse to wiggle out of all the awkwardness at the GCAC. Nick, having witnessed enough Newman-related drama for 10 lifetimes, senses Noah's rising discomfort immediately. With a hand on Noah's shoulder and a pointed look at Audra, Nick effortlessly steers his son away under the guise of needing help with a business call. Noah gladly takes the escape. Afterward, Holden Novak will track Audra down and apparently patch things up with her following their recent tension. Audra, fed up with Newman interference and spiraling pressures, storms into the GCAC bar to regroup, and that's where Holden finds her. He sits beside her, confident yet strangely gentle, lowering his voice as he tells her they've both made mistakes, but he's not ready to let their alliance fall apart. Audra and Holden are on the verge of reaching a deal, so they may agree to work together and stop Claire Newman from exposing the rest of their dirty secrets. Their conversation becomes hushed, conspiratorial, charged with equal parts ambition and fear. Holden reminds her that Claire is just one slip-up away from ruining them both, and Audra reluctantly agrees. For now, their partnership is necessary, a mutual survival pact forged out of desperation rather than trust. Other YNR spoilers say Lily will sit down with Kane at Crimson Lights, where they'll discuss the Abbott Communications launch party. Lily's mood is complicated, jittery, full of conflicting emotions when she spots Kane sipping his coffee with that irritatingly charming grin he always used to melt her resolve. After Lily confesses that she's going, she'll assume it'll be dull and will basically predict she'll have a lousy time. Kane raises an eyebrow, teasing her about her overworked schedule and self-inflicted boredom, and Lily rolls her eyes, though a tiny smile threatens to break through. Kane will offer a way to liven up the night and will suggest they could go together. It's spontaneous, bold, and exactly the kind of spark she's been avoiding out of fear she'll get burned again. Although Lily may be a bit wary about taking Kane as her party date, he may convince her that he's truly put Phyllis Summers behind him. Kane might insist he was only playing Phyllis in hopes that she'd admit she stole the AI program. And as Kane tells Lily that revenge, not romance, was the only reason he stayed near Phyllis, Lily feels the first crack in her emotional walls. Now that Kane is going after Phyllis for revenge, that could leave Lily feeling a little better about the situation. He explains the plan, the steps he's taken, the small victories he's secured. He wants justice, not chaos, and Lily sees the difference. It's a shift that shakes something deep within her, reminding her of the Kane she once trusted, once loved with her whole heart. She tells herself she's not still connected to him, not still vulnerable to him, not still nursing old feelings she swore were gone, but her heartbeat betrays her. Whatever the case, Lily will change her way of thinking when it comes to Kane on Thursday's YNR episode. By the time their conversation winds down, the distance between their chairs has subtly narrowed. Her posture has softened. Her voice has lowered. And when Kane stands to leave, she hesitates, just long enough for him to notice. We'll see a reversal of heart for Lily, who may cave in on Kane's +1 idea and reconsider their potential future. Kane doesn't pressure her. He doesn't need to. Lily's heart is already leaning toward him in ways she doesn't want to admit. She watches him walk away, mind racing with possibilities she thought she'd buried forever. And somewhere inside her, the spark reignites, quietly, cautiously, but undeniably burning. As Kane disappears out the Crimson Light's door, Lily stands frozen for several seconds, her fingers lightly pressed against the warm ceramic of her coffee cup, as if grounding herself before her thoughts spin out of control again. She'd promised herself, promised Maddie, promised Charlie, promised her own heart, that she would never get pulled back into Kane Ashby's orbit again, not after the betrayals, not after all the impossible second chances that aged her a decade. Yet here she is, staring blankly at the napkin dispenser and replaying every word Kane said, every subtle shift in his expression, every moment where she sensed authenticity instead of the slippery charm he used to rely on to smooth over his mistakes. Lily inhales shakily. She hates this feeling, the warmth sneaking into her chest, the quiet hope she'd boxed away behind duty and logic and hard-earned independence. But she also hates how lonely her life has become, how most nights are spent in silence, how she's convinced herself that busyness equals happiness. And if she's being honest, Kane has always been a wound that never fully healed, a chapter she tried to close, but the ink bled through the page no matter how tightly she pressed the cover shut. As she sinks into the chair again, Lily knows something shifted today, something subtle but undeniable, like the whisper of wind before a storm. Across town, the storm is already brewing at the cottage, where Sharon continues her interrogation of Sienna with an intensity that is gentle on the surface yet razor-sharp underneath. Sienna keeps repeating that she isn't here to take advantage of Noah, that her presence in his life isn't some opportunistic maneuver, but Sharon knows the cadence of practiced phrases, the rhythm of rehearsed explanations. She listens, nods, even offers soft affirmations, but her eyes never stop assessing. And Sienna feels it. She feels the weight of Sharon's scrutiny pressing against her ribs, squeezing the air from her lungs, forcing her to confront parts of herself she's tried to bury. Still, she refuses to break. She tells Sharon she's grateful Noah trusted her when she didn't trust herself, grateful Victor didn't send her packing, grateful Sharon even cares enough to ask questions. But Sharon isn't moved by gratitude, she's moved by truth. You need to understand, Sharon finally says, her voice low but firm, that Noah has survived things that would have shattered a weaker man. If you hurt him, intentionally or not, it will set him back in ways he may not recover from. Sienna swallows hard. It's not a threat, not really. It's a warning from a mother who's already had one too many brushes with heartbreak. Meanwhile, Noah tries to shake off the awkwardness of his GCAC run-in with Audra, but her voice lingers in his mind like a bitter aftertaste. She'd looked at him with that mixture of pity and smug amusement, as if she thought he'd never get over what she did, as if she still believed she had some sort of ownership over his heart. Noah hates that she can still get to him. Hates that even though he's moved on, or is trying to, just one look from her can drag him back into old insecurities. Nick, watching quietly from the side of the lobby as Noah types something aggressively into his phone, feels a familiar pang of concern. He's seen those strained shoulders, that tense jawline, those frustrated sighs too many times. Hey, Nick says, leaning against the counter with casual familiarity, don't let Audra rent space in your head for free. Noah lets out a humorless laugh. Trust me, Dad, I'm trying. Nick nods. He remembers heartbreak well enough to know how long it lingers. But what he doesn't know is that Noah's fear isn't just about Audra, it's about Sienna. Because caring about someone new when you're still bruised is like walking barefoot on glass, every step risks reopening old wounds. Elsewhere, Audra's conversation with Holden grows increasingly tense. She's tired of being hunted by Claire Newman, tired of pretending she's untouchable, tired of looking over her shoulder for secrets she buried that refused to stay dead. Holden reaches across the table at the bar, tapping her glass with his finger. You and I both know Claire isn't the type to let things go. If she's digging, she's not stopping until she buries us. Audra stiffens. She hates Claire more than she hates being cornered, mostly because Claire sees through her illusions with terrifying accuracy. Then we make sure she doesn't get the chance, Audra mutters. Holden smirks. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Their deal isn't a partnership. It's an uneasy alliance built on mutual fear, mutual ambition, and mutual guilt. They don't trust each other. They never will. But they need each other, at least for now. That's the twisted beauty of Genoa City alliances. Nothing is real, but everything is necessary. Back at the cottage, Sharon finally steps away from the conversation to answer a call from Faith, giving Sienna a moment to collect herself. The moment the room is silent, Sienna presses her hands against her temples, fighting the urge to cry. She's exhausted, not from Sharon's questioning, but from the emotional weight of constantly explaining herself. She's tired of being judged before being understood. But what scares her most isn't Sharon's suspicion, it's how much she genuinely cares about Noah. Caring about him means she has something to lose. Something she can't afford. By the time Sharon returns, Sienna has regained her composure. But Sharon can still see the rawness in her eyes. Across Genoa City, Lily steps out of crimson lights, pulling her coat tighter around her as she feels the crisp evening air against her skin. She tells herself she's not thinking about Kane, but the truth betrays her. She's thinking about the launch party, about walking in alone, about pretending she doesn't care, about seeing Kane there with someone else. That thought hits harder than she expected. She tries shaking it off, reminding herself that independence is her strength. But independence has become a shield, and shields often become cages. As she gets into her car, she exhales deeply. Maybe, she whispers to herself, it wouldn't hurt to let him come with me. The admission feels dangerous. But it also feels right. Kane, on the other hand, is in unusually good spirits as he walks down the sidewalk, hands in pockets, replaying Lily's reactions in his mind. He saw it, the hesitation, the softening, the flicker of something in her eyes. He hasn't seen that look from her in years. It gives him hope. And hope is a dangerous thing for Kane Ashby, because when he has hope, he takes risks. He fights harder. He pushes limits. And sometimes, he crashes everything in the process. But this time, he tells himself, will be different. He won't make the same mistakes. He won't take her for granted. He won't let his past ruin his future. He's more determined than ever to prove he's changed, not with words, but with actions. And the first action is making sure Phyllis Summers pays for everything she stole, everything she destroyed, everything she manipulated. As night settles over the city, Noah returns to the cottage to check on Sienna, only to find her sitting on the couch, hands clasped in her lap, staring at the unlit fireplace like it holds all the answers she's afraid to ask. He sits beside her, gently nudging her shoulder. My mom didn't scare you off, did she? He jokes lightly. Sienna smiles weakly. No. She's just protective. Noah nods. Yeah. She's earned the right to be. Silence stretches between them, not awkward, but thoughtful. Then Noah turns to her, expression softening. I want you here, Sienna. Not because I feel obligated. Not because I want to save you. I want you here because I care. Those words hit Sienna like a wave, overwhelming and warm and terrifying all at once. She looks away, blinking fast. Noah notices. He reaches out, brushing her hand gently with his. Hey, he murmurs. You don't have to say anything. But she does. She says it quietly, barely above a whisper. I don't want to hurt you, Noah. He smiles. Then don't. It sounds simple. But nothing about their lives is simple. Meanwhile, Lily stands in her bedroom later that night, staring at two dresses laid across her bed, one sleek and sophisticated, the other elegant but soft, and she knows the choice shouldn't matter. And yet it does. Because which dress she chooses reveals which Lily she expects to show up at the launch party. The guarded executive who keeps Kane at a safe distance, Or the woman who once loved him so deeply she believed they could survive anything. She closes her eyes and sees Kane's smile, hears his voice, feels the echo of a life they once built together. She opens her eyes again, heart pounding. She chooses the softer dress. At the GCAC bar, Audra scrolls through her phone and suddenly freezes. Claire Newman has posted something cryptic online, something that clearly references secrets from the past. Holden curses under his breath. She's getting bold. Audra's jaw clenches. Then we shut her down. Holden leans back, contemplating. Careful, he warns. The last time you went after someone impulsively, you exposed yourself. Audra laughs coldly. This isn't impulsive. This is survival. And her eyes gleam with that dark determination that has destroyed lives before, and might destroy hers if she's not careful. Back at the cottage, Sharon ends the night with a moment of reflection as she watches Noah and Sienna talking softly on the couch. She doesn't fully trust Sienna, not yet, but she sees something she didn't expect: sincerity.